So this is Tom Swinford, race director of the Newport Marathon, and we're with the Newport Marathon Podcast. Today my guest is John Lawrence. He has lived in this area all his life. He is co-owner of Newport Rental, and Newport Rental has been a sponsor of the Newport Marathon since its beginning 26 years ago. And so we're really appreciative of that. But John has a unique perspective this year because he's running the marathon for the first time. And so it'll be fun kind of picking that apart and seeing how that's all happening. So welcome, John.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. It's awesome that you're doing this, especially at kind of a spur of the moment.
Yeah, well, this year's actually the first time I got enough heads up to train properly. Usually I see you come into the shop to get tables and chairs for the marathon from Newport Rental, and you always ask me if I'm going to run it, and on about a week's notice, I think, that might be a little too short for me, Tom. But this year, actually a coworker of mine, Tyler, he's going to be running it for the first time too. He's done the half marathon before, and he was talking to me about running the marathon. So it was about January. I thought, this might actually be enough time that I noticed about it to where I could actually get to race day and have a set of legs under me maybe, and not just die maybe 5 miles in, So
what are some of the challenges that you're finding with the training for the marathon?
Training for the marathon, I've got a really busy schedule with work and home life. So for Newport Rental, I work 6 days a week and about 9 hours a day. And then I've got a toddler at home now, my daughter Frankie. She's going to be 3 here. And so basically after work until bedtime, I'm fully involved in that. So we get her to bed around 8:30, depending on the day. And after that, I've got to go train around 9 o'clock at night in, Toledo. So starting training in January at 9 at night through the rain and the cold and everything else, and not being able to see where you're going is definitely been challenging.
Yeah.
But there are parts about training that, I did cross country in high school, so I've ran before, but, only for a 5K. For this distance, I always thought that you would have to run a lot more, but I found that to not be entirely true. There's like 2 days of the week where you just run you have recovery days. So you're not always just going full out, 12 mile, 16 mile training runs. There's a couple nights where you just, basically warm up your legs and that's it and get back to it. But just trying to balance that and find time to where I can actually get out on the road and get some practice in. That's basically been the challenging part so far. I should buy a new pair of shoes. These ones are starting to get a little bit. I want to be the guy with the shiniest shoes come race day. It's not about placing first. It's about
it's looking
style.
good.
Yeah.
When you were in high school at Toledo, your track team were handing out the medals at the finish line. Do you remember doing any of that or being part?
Getting a medal? Probably not. No, I
but
wasn't
being
that
part
fast.
of the team doing that, handing out stuff
for medals in high school.
At the marathon. No, at the marathon.
Oh, at the marathon.
Yeah.
No, we never went down for that. I don't think so. Yeah. No, I don't remember doing that. Yeah.
Because all the aid stations are run by high school teams, and I know Toledo was part of it. The last couple of years they had trouble getting people together or something, and had to give up that. But back in your day, when you were in high school, it could have been there.
Yeah, I think. We didn't do that, unfortunately. That would have been great though to get more involvement in it early on.
Yeah.
Then I'd know a little bit more about how it goes and where all the aid stations are. So that's another new part about marathons is that I'm worried about is eating.
Yeah.
When you're running 26 miles, your body needs more fuel. You can't really store that in your body, where if you're running 3 miles, I don't even have to really, worry about diet or anything at all.
Yeah.
But being able to run and drink water and eat at the same time is something entirely new that you've got to practice,
It does,
So,
yeah.
because I don't want to get halfway through the marathon and then have a upset stomach and
Yeah.
really take me out of the day,
So have you been training with foods then along the way?
I have,
Taking-
yeah, a little bit on for my long runs. The other ones I don't, if it's less than 10 miles, I don't really think I need anything. I
Yeah.
can get through that. But if I'm running more than that, I'll take one of those little goo packets. And I did buy, I haven't used it yet, but a little camel pack to run and get water hydration.
Yeah.
But it's just getting to the point now to where I might actually have to use that, They haven't really been that long yet. But what is it, 2 months away? We got to...
Yeah, June 1st. So it's, I don't know, it's maybe not quite 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are aid stations about every 2 miles, I think, and there'll be water and Gatorade along there. And I think one of the ones has apples and oranges, there. But basically, we promote that runners bring their own nutrition, whether it's going to be in a gel pack or if it's going to be in some sort of liquid form that they'll take, and that way it accommodates really everybody. What their needs,
Yeah.
We tried having gels and stuff, and people would take some of them, but it was just, not really as efficient as it could have been.
Yeah.
So now we're encouraging everybody just to bring their own food.
That reminds me too, that's all my gel packets have caffeine in them too. So
Yeah.
that's since I'm only really eating one while running, I don't know if I'm going to end up being wound up by the end of it there. If I might get a couple of them that are less caffeine.
Yeah.
So
You're training with the gels on your long runs now.
on my long runs,
Yeah.
started doing that. So, and like I say, it's a little bit, I haven't trained drinking water though. That's kind of the one that I'm worried about. I'd be running around and just spilling it all over myself. Like
And
I've got
some people
a
are
drinking
better
problem.
at that. They are. I mean, I used to do that too, and I tried all the different ways that people suggested of holding the cup and that
Yeah.
kind of thing, but it never worked.
Yeah.
For me, I just had to stop, slug some water.
Don't
go.
worry about it.
I just couldn't do it on the run. I could do it if I had a hydro flask that had a hose on it.
Right.
Then I could sip it as I ran, and that worked. The thing is with eating too, I found is I really got into the gels, but I found that if I took too many, I would need to be looking for a bathroom break, especially, at about the 22 or 24 mile mark when I'm really wanting to finish it off and my gut is in turmoil. So, I mean, having an idea of how many of those things you want to consume it.
I think my biggest fear heading into it is an unplanned bathroom break.
Yeah.
I know there's 2 miles between each one. So,
Right.
But I don't want to get stuck in the middle there. That
I know.
On my long runs too, I want to get hydrated beforehand, so I drink some water, the half hour out before I start running. And so far, each one about 5-10 miles in, I need to. Fortunately, I've been running out Alala Road on those ones a lot, so it's 5 miles out there, and right up at the reservoir, they've got some porta potties out there, so I'm able to hit that and go back and finish out however many more miles I need. But definitely the bladder fills up.
It does. On the long runs, I used to go out where I thought I was going to need water. I mean, and put water or food or nutrition or something along the way. Like if I was doing a 20 miler or something, I'd go out and lay things so that I'd have it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you do.
Stash some road snacks.
Yeah.
See, I've thought of that, but I've also, I don't know, there's something kind of worrisome about, leaving food and water just on the side of the road and then.
Well, nowadays they have gels, in those days they didn't,
Yeah.
I mean, you had to have a little burner and cook some oatmeal.
Yeah,
and
right.
stuff.
You just run 15 miles, stop, and have a 3-egg omelet before you keep going.
Yeah. Nowadays, everything is so convenient and so quick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can just plan it. You can carry it. They even have belts that you can carry it with.
Yep, I got the small personal item belt or whatever, the SPI belt, and so yeah, you just toss those inside there because, like you say, running with stuff, your pocket's full, they're bouncing around, it's uncomfortable, but
Yeah.
you get a little belt and you put it in there and strap it on. You just don't even, you can put your phone, car keys, half a sandwich, whatever you need back there, but.
Yeah.
So that's a lot better. Shoes, I think, are probably completely different now than they were before. Like even when I was, in cross, they've got the super shoes now, which are too expensive for me. I don't think I'm going to run fast enough to qualify. I'm looking to cross the finish line. That's my goal. Show up to the starting line, cross the finish line, hopefully be running the whole time. We'll see what happens.
Those are important first time goals. Really, they are. It's just experiencing the marathon, and then from there you can build and say, okay, next year I'm going to do this, and I'm going to train this way, and yeah. So, have you been on parts of the course? Running it and checking it out?
I haven't run on the course yet. I've grown up in Toledo and worked in Newport, so I've definitely gone down the Bay Road a couple of times just to kind of scout out where all the mile markers are, like you say, where aid stations are going to be and where the turnaround is and kind of what sort of hills to expect. But like you say, running in Toledo, there's just more hill, like no matter where you go run, you're going to be going uphill there and uphill back at some point. So there's not really too many concerns on the hills. I've been running downhill and uphill every day. So I'm conditioned for that, I think. But I've planned on it now that my long runs are getting longer. I could probably just, go down, park at the end of it, run down it and back and, get a little bit more experience on that. That's one thing I haven't thought of before too is, like you say, just the boundaries of where the course are left and right and going through corners. Mm-hmm. You could add more mileage, if you do that wrong.
You could, yeah.
And as impressive as running more miles is, 26.2 is still pretty good. That's like running to Lincoln City. It's sunny out. Might run from Newport to Lincoln City today.
Yep.
So I don't. Yeah. Not a lot of people are going to just get up and do that, I don't think.
You could run from home, run down the Bay Road, and then have your wife pick you up in Newport and bring you home. Yeah. Then you'd get a chance to feel most of the course.
Yeah. And like you were saying when we've talked before, that the Bay Road is kind of a little rounded.
Yeah, it is.
And that's definitely uncomfortable when you have one leg. My legs are roughly the same length. So it makes your stride a little bit affected there.
Yeah. Yeah, that is something to think about. I mean, I don't know that it's so noticeable doing the marathon, but training on it, it definitely is. If training on it all the time. In the old days, I used to switch sides just so I wouldn't have since the road has that dome-ish sort of feel to it to help drain the water off. Yeah, I'd run a mile on one way and then a mile on the other side, and
start ending up like a crawdad legs, but claws, but for your legs, I guess. Yeah.
But the road is pretty well surfaced and cleaned and everything. The county road department, they come out there just as a service to clean it all up and mow it and try to keep all that clean and nice running.
Yeah.
And people don't realize this, but you can actually run in that bike lane on the eastbound lane. You can use the bike lane, and at times that might make the course a hair shorter.
Yeah. See, I was wondering, I got to talk to you about exactly like how far is, not cheating.
The course is officially laid out in the lane, but there's, I don't know. I don't think there'll be monitors along the way.
You can get into the rough a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
No penalties there.
Right. Newport Rental has been part of the marathon since the beginning. I mean, we even used to get scaffolding and all that kind of stuff from it. But as times have changed and timing systems and companies have changed, we no longer get the scaffolding, but we still depend on Newport Rental for um, chairs and tables. And we used to get the little reader board things from you guys, but that has kind of changed now too. But what do you think about sponsoring Newport Rental sponsoring that the marathon?
Well, we've definitely sponsored for a long time. It's something that we've done. I forget how many years exactly.
26.
26 years we've done it.
Yeah.
My father, who ran Newport Rental for a long, long time before we have, he ran the marathon. He's done it at least 2 times, I think. But he ran his first one at 50 years old. So even if I can't beat his time, I'm still going to run it before he does. I'm only 36 now. I got a fail safe there. So, but no, he ran it, got a pretty good time on that, and probably was sponsoring it around that time too. So it's something that we like supporting for our community, and it's just an opportunity to create more value for the community, because this is where we grew up, this is our home, and this is what's important to us.
Yeah. I know the road is not closed for your training purposes, as it will be on race day. What's it like having to run on the roads with traffic, and what kind of things do you pay attention to? And especially if you're having to run at night. I mean, there's no street lights in Toledo really to run with. How do you do that?
Well, I played a lot of Frogger growing up, so it's pretty easy to get across the highway. But no, there are definitely some hazards. And like say for my long runs, I run out to Olalla and I've got to cross the highway to get there, So, but my long runs I do during the day. So there is more visibility, and I have a long enough stretch where I kind of run down one side and look over my shoulder and both ways, and then just sort of, I think they call them fartlicks when you do fast and slow. So there's just a little sprint right there that you get to the other side. As far as most of the in-town stuff, half of it I can run a little bit in town. There's street lights for the main part there. But like you say, Toledo's a really small town, so you can't really just run around the main area where there's street lights every day. That'll get kind of boring. So I carry a flashlight with me, and I run around other parts, and some days are... if the moon's full, it's actually really enjoyable, because it's you can see everything. It's quiet. You can really just appreciate the natural beauty of the town that way. If it's dark and rainy, you start. Sometimes your brain starts playing tricks on you. There'll be a bird will rustle a bush, and you start thinking about that old, I think, Disney cartoon with Ichabod Crane. The birds are croaking your name, or the frogs are croaking your name, and there's a cougar around John. It's like, but as far as traffic in Toledo at night, there's not much of it, So I always run towards traffic. I'd run on the left side of the road so that when the vehicles are coming, I can see where they're at. I don't have to look over my shoulder. Stay safe that way. I don't do any high visibility vest, but basically I stay to a lot of the roads that are pretty clear to where you can see me if you're coming at night, and I've got a flashlight. I click it on and make sure it's wiggling a bunch as I'm panting down the road like the last rhino in Jumanji,
Right.
And that's about my running style, is tired rhino.
So once you fall in love with the marathon, your equipment will probably change as well. You'll start looking for higher tech stuff, higher tech vests with flashlights and headlights and
glow sticks. We'll do a rave party.
Yeah. Your dad probably had those kind of things.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure exactly everything he had, because I think he ran during the day. He'd get home and right after work just go for a run. But we were older, we could drive ourselves to and from school, so it's not like we had to.
Right.
Like I'm physically bathing my child and then reading books and. And then once she's asleep, I'm able to. Oh, I gotta wash dishes too. And then I gotta have, gotta do chores. I can't just play.
Yeah.
So,
But you're used to competition because you went to the state chess tournament, I think, when you were in fourth grade.
That's right. Yeah. No, Tom Swinford here was also my chess coach in school. And what was that? Fourth or fifth grade, I think. Yeah. So, and I got to go to a competition on that. I think I won the first one. I made it through the preliminaries because he taught me the scholar's mate, and that was about all the opening prep I had. But I think the second guy, he knew that one. And then he was just better than me. So, yeah. No, playing a lot of chess is good. Like I say, I picked it up more after the pandemic, and it's kind of like that Mitch Hedberg joke, I wish I could play Little League now. I'd be way better.
So along with the songs that you have going through your head as you're running along, do you have chess moves and stuff that you think about?
I have a couple of times, yeah. On something like, say, you've got when you're. That's another great thing about running is without it, there's not a whole lot of times in my day where I get to just like for 2-3 hours straight. Work through all my thoughts. So like you can really unpack the day. You can unpack the future. You can any sort of mental hobby or sport that you do, you can work through that. Like you say, I can practice visualization of the board in my head if I wanted to do that. Yeah, because actually listening to music all the time can get kind of boring. There's only so many notes. There's like 12 of them. So I've heard the songs before. Sometimes I'll just kick on
some form or another.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll kick on a podcast, and that'll be more interesting. You can hear a guy talk for a couple hours and learn a few things. There's one there's an Olympic judo champion. So then he's talking about competition in sport, and you're like, and you start, running a little faster because you're like, I can do this. I'm the best. And then you're like, how fast I go. Yeah. Like 10-minute miles. I'm zooming. Yeah. So
That's all I have. I mean, thank you for coming in, John, and sharing this with us. I sure appreciate you doing that.
Hey, thank you. And next time you get propane, I'm sure I'll have more questions about
be this week, actually.
How to improve. Yeah, a couple of days here. Well, we'll always help you out with that. And like I say, I'll be able to pick your brain then. And Tyler, he'll have some questions about footwear and, like you say, all the things that I don't think about during training. Sure, it's ready to go. Hi, I'm John Lawrence with Newport Rental Service. We've been a sponsor for many years, but this is my first time running a marathon. I'm excited. I think you can run one too. All you have to do is run. Should be easy.